Vadaya Krishna Pushtaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namani Namaste Sarasati Devi Gauravani Pachaline Nivasesha Sunyavari Pashtatara Satarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Okay, so we're on chapter 6, as we know, in Dhyana Yoga. And the verses are going to take a different direction now. We're beginning with text 11 and 12. So Dhyana Yoga is also known in some aspects as Astanga Yoga. And Krishna's been speaking about the principle of real renunciation, which means basically to link oneself with the desire or link oneself with Krishna. Yeah. And thereafter be free from desires for, or desires other than desires to serve Krishna. Yeah. I'll just give a little synopsis here. Then he spoke about the one who's not ready for this Astanga. Then if their heart's not purified, if they're not ready for this dhyan, then they will engage in work. Yeah. That's the means to purify the heart. So Nishkam Karma Yoga. Yeah. And that purifies the mind for meditation upon Krishna. Yeah. Then he spoke in text 4. A symptom of one's elevated in, said here, yoga practice, or we could say Krishna consciousness, is that they're free from lesser desires for matter. Yeah. So they don't endeavor like a materialist. Yeah. Like most people endeavor for sense gratification. Although they don't call it sense gratification, they just call it going to the pub, or whatever it may be. Yeah. But as sense gratification, it's nothing to do with Krishna. Yeah. Go, yeah. So they don't engage in materialist activities. You know, perhaps it'd be too slow if I go through every verse. Let me just. And then we spoke about the mind, wasn't it? Remember that discussion? We gave a synopsis last week as well. The mind can be the best friend or the worst enemy. And the reason why Krishna's speaking about the mind, because that's the most important part of yoga practice. That's the whole practice of asana, pranayam, is to bring the mind under control. Yeah. So if that's not done, one's living with an enemy. So one's not going to make progress in the practice of any yoga if one is living with uncontrolled mind. So then Krishna speaks about that. Then we also speak about from control of the mind, then one reaches the supreme within, or the super soul. Yeah. One can hear, or one takes direction from the super soul. Now, it's not like one hears a disembodied voice saying do this or do that. It's not as if there's a loudspeaker in the heart. It's just that you may be doing things now guided by the super soul. Probably you are, as devotees. You are doing things guided by the Lord within the heart. It's very subtle. Yeah. Yeah, just the fact that you're chanting Hare Krishna means Krishna, the super souls, inspiring you and instructing. So the more one is free from the dualities of the material mind and the desires for material sense gratification, the one will more spontaneously act according to the directions of Krishna within the heart. Yeah. And then from that, then we mentioned text 8 describes one sees, one is not attracted to matter. Remember that verse he sees, was it Sama Lotrashma Kanchanaha? Kanchana means gold, yeah, and stones as the same. Yeah. It's not going to gold or any material facilities. Is not going to equate to spiritual advancement. So one has no attraction. And then further advanced is coming to today's text now. Further advanced is one is here. Regards those who wish one well, those who wish one bad, those who are benefactors or those who are enemies. One looks at them with an equal mind. Yeah. One is seeing from the spiritual perspective. Yeah. One is not making discriminative distinction based on the material conditioning. So, and it's quite a big subject. So even if one does a bad turn, one takes ownership for that. It's a big subject. So then text 10. We did text 10. Okay. Did we do text 10? I think we did. Yeah. Yeah, the beginnings of practice of Astanga. So now we're going to hear about the actual practice of yogic meditation. So all yogis out there, you ready? How to practice dhyana meditation, the classical practice, like a synopsis is given here. All right, so finally we're at text 11. So what have I got here? Yeah, 11 and 12. Okay, someone like to read this text?
Krishna Prabhu, can I read?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
Please feel free.
I'll try the Sanskrit. I'm not 100% with it.
Do your best, don't worry.
Okay. Text 11 and 12.
Yeah.
Socho dese pratisthapya sthitaram asanam atmana nati uchiritam nati chinicham chalajina kushotaram tatrai gram mana kritva yata chitendriya kriya upavesyane unjayat yogam atma vishuddhaye.
Very good. Great. Nicely pronounced.
To practice yoga, one should go to a secluded place and should lay kusa grass on the ground and then cover it with a deerskin and a soft cloth. The seat should be neither too high nor too low and should be situated in a sacred place. The yogi should then sit on it very firmly and practice yoga to purify the heart by controlling his mind, senses, and activities and fixing the mind on one point.
Yeah.
Purport.
Here.
Yeah. Sacred place refers to places of pilgrimage. In India, the yogis, the transcendentalist, or the devotees all leave home and reside in a sacred place such as Prayag, Mathura, Vrindavan, Rishikesh, and Haridwar, and in solitude practice yoga where the sacred rivers like the Yamuna and the Ganges flow. But often this is not possible, especially for Westerners. The so-called yoga societies in big cities may be successful in earning material benefit, but they're not at all suitable for the actual practice of yoga. One who is not self-controlled and whose mind is not undisturbed cannot practice meditation. Therefore, in the Brihan Puran, it is said that in Kali Yuga, the present yuga or age, when people in general are short-lived, slow in spiritual realization, and always disturbed by various anxieties, the best means of spiritual realization is chanting the holy name of the Lord. Hari Nam, Hari Nam, Hari Nam eva kevalam, Kalau nastyeva nastyeva eva nastyeva.
Carry on.
Yeah. In this age, quarrel and hypocrisy, the only means of deliverance is chanting the holy name of the Lord. There is no other way, there is no other way, there is no other way.
Okay.
Text. Should I go on the next one? Or?
No, we'll just pause there. All right.
Okay.
So no one comes to the Lord but through chanting the holy name of the Lord. Yeah, you heard this from our friends Christians. No one comes to the Lord but through Lord Jesus. Actually, no one comes to the Lord but through chanting the holy name. So Prabhupada, as I've mentioned each time, Prabhupada is doing, he's keeping us on track at the end here. After reading about the rules, some of the rules, there's more coming for meditation. The conclusion is that it's not possible for most people. Yeah. For instance, living in a sacred place. Yeah. Cool. so living in a sacred place, it's not possible for everyone. So that's what's quite unique about bhakti, and that will be described in the next verse or the next purport as well. That it can be practiced by anybody in any situation, rich, poor, city, village, in a renounced order, a mother with 3 kids or 10 grandchildren, whatever it may be, you can practice bhakti. Yeah. Otherwise, there is lots of rules. And that's why we should be so thankful for Prabhupada's purports, because if we just read the verses, we might find it difficult to come to the conclusion. Yeah, if we just read the verses and we tried to practice this specific yoga, would we come out successful is very highly unlikely. But anyway, for our interest, some details of yoga is here, of meditation. And I know some devotees who actually engage in meditation, actually, as is described here. But they meditate upon Maha Mantra within their heart. You know, they sit down, they do yoga, they do pranayam, and they sit down and they stare at the tip of the nose, and they slow the breathing down after pranayam, because first you do asanas, then you do pranayam, and then you do meditation. And they stare at the tip of the nose, and within their hearts, the heart of their mind, the voice within, they chant the holy name, Hare Krishna, like that. And they meditate as well. They separate this with their intelligence. They separate the self from the body through internal intelligence. I know some devotees do that, as well as Harinam Sankirtan, you know. So I'm not saying you could try it, but anyway, any questions here? Soche. Anyone know why it said, is it got a deer skin here? Yeah. Anyone know why a deer skin specifically mentioned?
Is it that a deer skin? Oh no, it's a tiger skin that keeps the snakes away.
No, it's a deer skin. I just
cover it with deer skin.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and we use kusa. You know, sometimes pujaris get enthusiastic when they go to India and they buy kusa ashrams. But here, kusa is the first layer. Then first you lay kusa down. Next you put a deer skin, and it's described here. Then you put a soft cloth on top. Yeah, we had Adibhuta Prabhu. You know, Pujari was with us. Adibhuta and his wife were staying with us in our temple in London, visiting.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He used to, I don't think it was a deer skin, but he had some type of I don't know, it's pure cotton. Anyway, off the track a bit. But yeah, so but that's why that is apparently it keeps insects, scorpions away and snakes. Yeah, imagine a yogi in a jungle. Whether it keeps tigers away, I'm not too sure. I don't think it keeps tigers away. But that's why I think it describes in the next verse, in order to practice this traditional yoga, you have to be completely free of fear of being eaten alive by wandering tigers. And how they do that is they invest their complete dependence upon the Lord himself, understanding that the Lord is within everyone's heart. But it so happens that some yogis do get eaten by, I shouldn't laugh actually, they do get eaten by tigers. lions. And that's why the Kshatriyas, to practice their archery, that's one of the reasons they would go to the forest to keep the population of tigers and lions to a minimum, or to, to give peace to the yogis. Otherwise, the yogi would, if the tiger wants to eat me, it must be the Lord's in his heart. What can be done? Anyway, going off the track here. Yes. So, yeah, correct. Yeah. But the main thing is to purify the heart, and we can do that through chanting the Maha Mantra. Did anyone practice meditation or before they took up Krishna consciousness?
I did a little bit of I mean, very little.
All right.
But I was kind of doing my own meditation. I didn't practice a particular meditation, but I was trying to meditate, but not having a clue how to meditate. I had no instruction, and I just thought it was a good idea to meditate. So I was just kind of just trying to be peaceful, calm the mind down, be like, peaceful and controlled in my senses and things like that.
Yeah, no, it's good. And it is quite attractive to many people, especially because otherwise persons are so disturbed, but there is a lot of bogus, as you can well imagine, and Prabhupada highlights this, and also in the next purport as well, so-called meditation. I used to practice meditation a little bit as well, and I must admit I found it quite good, actually, even though I as well didn't know exactly what I was doing. But meditation, it's never void, or it's never impersonal. The Vedas always give.
I mean, yes, it really did help me. I felt like I was operating on a different level to most people, because I was just engaging my mind, like trying to focus my mind on good things and not bad things. Yeah. But I really felt some benefit. Yeah.
Because what you're doing is you're bringing the mind and thoughts under some level of control. So therefore, you're going to be inspired by the Lord within the heart, who's going to direct you towards sattva and the goodness. But it has to be directed, has to be done under the guidance of the Guru. There was one, I forget her name now. She's her parents were Buddhists, and she was practicing yoga from where anyone can. As I tell the story, then you might remember her name.
Is that Vrindavani?
Yeah, that's it. Disciple of Mahavishnu Swami. What's her name again? Can you hear me?
Vrindavani?
Yeah, Vrindavani. That's it. She told the story.
Yeah, Mahavishnu Swami.
Yeah, your voice is breaking up, Oliver.
Yeah.
But she could practice meditation like 3 or 4 hours, no problem. She'd do that every day, even from a very young age, trained by her parents. But she felt, what's next? She'd meditate 4 or 5 hours, but then what's on offer after that? You associate with your friends, and you go and you do this, you do everything your friends do. So it just seems as though what is next? What is the achievement of it? Of course, I guess you could go for like the achievement of it is some type of merging, or some type of realization that you are the Buddha or something. Anyway, just give an example there of someone who is very active in the practice of meditation, but they became attracted to Krishna, and that really fulfilled them. The activities of bhakti, singing, chanting, serving Krishna, associating devotees, taking prasadam. It's a whole package. It's a whole lifestyle. It's not just meditation. All right. Hare Krishna. We've got quite a few of us now. Hare Krishna. All right. Any other questions here or curiosities? But we should take note of some of these things here. For instance, reading here, one who's not self-controlled and whose mind is not undisturbed, not practice meditation. So one who's not self-controlled and whose mind is not undisturbed cannot chant Hare Krishna. Okay, we chant Hare Krishna in order to be undisturbed, but better we act in such a way and we practice Krishna consciousness in such a way that we are naturally undisturbed. Undisturbed. That means when we take up our beads, we can easily meditate upon the holy name. And we can be undisturbed if we practice, if we hear and practice the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. Anyway, Krishna. Anything else you want to pull out from here? I just yeah, Sridhar Swami mentions this. Scorpions and snakes do not like to wander upon such skins, and thus will not bite when one is in meditative trance performing yoga. Yeah. And there's something on Ramanuja. He said, oh no, it's the next one. Yeah. Okay, let's read the next verse. Let's end up. Okay. I mean, what we're doing now is meditation. This is a superior form of meditation, you know? Reading and discussing Krishna's words, sacred Bhagavad Gita, you know? This is meditation. All right, let's have someone, if they'd like to read text 13 and 14. These verses come as twos.
Can read if nobody wants to.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, 13 and 14. Samam kaya shiro grivam dharayan achalam sthira samprekshya nasikagram svam dishascha navalokayan prashantatma vigata bhir brahmachari vrate sthita manasamyamya machito yukta asita matpara.
Yeah.
Translation. One should hold one's body, neck, and head erect in a straight line and stare steadily at the tip of the nose. Thus, with an unagitated, subdued mind, devoid of fear, completely free from sex life, and one should meditate upon me within the heart and make me the ultimate goal of life. Purport. The goal of life is to know Krishna, who is situated within the heart of every living being as Paramatma, the four-handed Vishnu form. The yoga process is practiced in order to discover and see this localized form of Vishnu, and not for any other purpose. The localized Vishnu Murti is the plenary representation of Krishna dwelling within one's heart. One who has no program to realize this Vishnu Murti is uselessly engaged in mock yoga practice and is certainly wasting his time. Krishna is the ultimate goal of life, and the Vishnu Murti situated in one's heart is the object of yoga practice. To realize this Vishnu Murti within the heart, one has to observe complete abstinence from sex life. Therefore, one has to leave home and live alone in a secluded place, remaining seated, as mentioned above. One cannot enjoy sex life daily at home or elsewhere and attend a so-called yoga class and thus become a yogi. One has to practice controlling the mind and avoiding all kinds of sense gratification, of which sex life is the chief. In the rules of celibacy written by the great sage Yajnavalkya, it is said, Karmana manasa vacha sarvavasthasu sarvada sarvatra maithuna tyago brahmacharyam prachakshate. The vow of brahmacharya is meant to help one completely abstain from sex indulgence in work, words, and mind. Jambavati is demanding you let her in, sorry. The
Right.
vow of brahmacharya is meant to help one completely abstain from sex indulgence in work, words, and mind at all times, under all circumstances, and in all places. No one can perform correct yoga practice through sex indulgence. Brahmacharya is taught, therefore, from childhood, when one has no knowledge of sex life. Children at the age of 5 are sent to the Gurukula, or the place of the spiritual master, and the master trains the young boys in the strict discipline of becoming brahmacharis. Without such practice, no one can make advancement in any yoga, whether it be dhyana, jnana, or bhakti. One who, however, follows the rules and regulations of married life, having a sexual relationship only with his wife, and that also under regulation, is also called a brahmachari. Such a restrained householder brahmachari may be accepted in the bhakti school, but the jnana and dhyana schools do not even admit householder brahmacharis. They require complete abstinence without compromise. In the bhakti school, a householder brahmachari is allowed controlled sex life because the cult of bhakti yoga is so powerful that one automatically loses sexual attraction, being engaged in the superior service of the Lord. In the Bhagavad Gita 2.59, it is said, Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehina rasa varjam rasopyasya param društva nivartate. Whereas others are forced to restrain themselves from sense gratification, a devotee of the Lord automatically refrains because of superior taste. Other than the devotee, no one has any information of that superior taste. Vigata bhi, one cannot be fearless unless one is fully in Krishna consciousness. A conditioned soul is fearful due to his perverted memory, his forgetfulness of his eternal relationship with Krishna. The Bhagavatam 11.2.37 says, Bhayam dvitiyabhiniveshata syad ishad apetasya viparyayo smriti. Krishna consciousness is the only basis for fearlessness. Therefore, perfect practice is possible for a person who is Krishna conscious. And since the ultimate goal of yoga practice is to see the Lord within, a Krishna conscious person is already the best of all yogis. The principles of the yoga system mentioned herein are different from those of the popular so-called yoga societies. Hare Krishna.
Okay, thank you. Hare Krishna. Right, so further details given. Many immediate questions, just confirming what I was saying before, that meditation means, or specifically here mentioned, on the Vishnu Murti form, the localized param Atma. Yeah, let's go back. There's something I was gonna, quite a lengthy purple. But this, you see, you can see, this is the goal of yoga here. Once you meditate upon me within the heart and make me the ultimate goal of life. So what's the Sanskrit for that? Chitta yukta, yeah, the last lines. Mana samyam mata chitto yukta asita matparaha. So that's Krishna, yeah. And yeah. Okay, any questions here or? I was just thinking of something, but it slipped my mind. Please forgive me. Yeah.
I think it was also confirmed here that yoga exercises is, like we discussed last week, every asana is to worship the Lord, isn't it? I think it was somewhere here in the purport.
Yeah, traditionally the asanas will be accompanied by a mantra. Yep. to the different to the different expansions of Krishna originally, yeah. But here again, yeah, the point is make is that the when Prabhupada speaks here about the persons who do not accept, like he speaks about brahmachari, then he's quoting Yagnavalkya. Yeah, he gives details of what brahmachari actually is, It's not more, it's there because it can be entangling, obviously, the results of sex life, it means children, etc., etc. But more it's to, I was just reading, it's for the preservation of the bhakti energy that's needed in real meditative practice. So rather than dispensing energy, one's investing that energy within to meditate upon the Lord, But Prabhupada then brings out the superiority of bhakti, where it is so powerful. Then he mentions Grihastha Brahmachari. Did you pick that up? Yeah. So a lot of these dhyana schools, what did Prabhupada mention here? That he used it, the dhyana and jnana. Yeah, but Prabhupada makes the point here, without such practice, no one can make advancement in any yoga, whether it be dhyana, jnana, or bhakti. Yeah. So there has to be some type of regulative control, even if we're practicing bhakti. But if it's a thing I mentioned before, like the classic practices of Mayavad and personalists, then they have to renounce everything before they can even enter into a school to actually practice. They have to, one time I saw this video of in Varanasi, there must have been 2,000 young men all sitting by the banks of the Ganges, just taking up vows of stark renunciation, of leaving the family, all sitting there. It looked quite impressive, all shaved up, all sitting there at the banks of the Ganges, just about to take bath. About 1,000 of them. No, perhaps I'm exaggerating. Perhaps there's a few hundred of them, 600 or 600. Now, probably some of them, whether they're going to follow the whole lifestyle like that, but that's their goal. That's what they aim to do. And they cannot practice and unless they become saffron-clad renunciates. But bhakti, that's not required. But it has to be regulated, it has to be controlled, even within the Grihastha ashram. I think most of us here know of these principles. Yeah. And and he quotes this verse here. This is 259. Vishani Navatandene Heshadehana. Everyone know this verse? Some of you know this verse? Bhakti Sastri students. Vishani Navatandene Heshadehana. Vasho Rajam Vasho Pyasya Param Drishtan Navatate. That's what should be happening. That's the idea. If we're practicing bhakti, yeah. In other words, we're connecting with Krishna. So, and that's the whole goal of yoga is to connect with the Supreme. So through the activities of bhakti, we actually, so that higher taste, can I say what that higher taste is? That superior taste? It's not a trick question, but if he was describing it in another way, what would you say is?
Is it just attraction for Krishna?
Yeah. What's that called? Devotion.
Attraction.
Devotion.
Okay.
Yeah. Devotion. That's a superior taste. Yeah, it is there, and it is one becomes attracted to Krishna. Yeah, one becomes attracted to Krishna's name, form, qualities, and pastimes. Yeah, and also to reading Bhagavad Gita, like we're doing now. Yeah, So that is not going. So one who's situated in Krishna consciousness, even if they are married and they engage in propagation of children, it's not going to be an impediment to their practice of bhakti. Yeah. And then Prabhupada quotes this verse also from the 11th canto. Bayam Dutiyana Visati Sat Isat Vipesya Vipayoshmitihi Tanmaya Buddhi Abhajettam Bhakye Krisham Guru Devatma. Yeah, anyone know the rough translation of this? Bayam Dutiya Banishat Sat Isat Vipesya Vipayoshmitihi. Prabhupada's quoting it in regards to being fearless. Yeah. Just the paraphrasing of the verse is, I was looking at the other day, when one turns away from the Lord, one turns one's head away from the Lord, one forgets that one is an eternal servant of the Lord. Yeah. Thus one becomes bewildered by the Lord's illusory energy and thinks, therefore one should take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master. Let me find the whole verse here. Let me quote it properly. It's a nice verse. It's at hand. Vayam Dutiyana Visati Sat Isatva Pasya Vipayoshmitihi Tanmaya Buddha Bhajettam Bhakye Krisham Guru Devatma. It is 11. Okay. Fear, it speaks about fear arises when a living entity identifies himself with a material body. Yeah. Now, it's not like, this fear is not like when someone's scared of a ghost or something, or you're fearful of a wild dog or something, so your blood rushes, that fear. Yeah. It's the fear of, it's the uncertainty in life. What's going to happen? What is life about? One doesn't know. So therefore, one is fearful about life. Yeah, I remember I used to be like that. Definitely, I used to be very, very fearful, but very confused about what was the future, what was the point, what was the point in life, what's the point of it all? And I think I was about 22 years old, 23 years old, because my head was turned towards sense gratification, so I was completely fearful, which manifests as being completely apprehensive about the future. Of course, I wouldn't always think like that. When I'd be with my friends and doing nonsense, then I would forget, obviously. But most a lot of times I would think like that. So fear arises when living entity misidentifies himself with the material body. It's a nice verse, this, because of absorption in the external illusory energy of the Lord. Yeah. Anyone have that experience, being uncertain about what life has taught? What is the point of life?
Every day.
Every day. Now I hope it's a bit different. Now it's
Sometimes.
something. At least we know. We are. So when a living entity thus turns away from the Supreme Lord, he forgets his own constitutional position as a servant of the Lord. This bewildering, fearful condition is affected by the potency for illusion called Maya. The Prabhupada is quoting this verse here. Therefore, the verse continues, an intelligent person should engage unflinchingly in the unalloyed devotional service to the Lord under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master whom he should accept that is his worshipful deity and his very life and soul. Guru Devatma. Prabhupada's quoting that here. 11th Canto, Chapter 2. Okay, so yeah, so the goal of yoga is to see the Lord within. So if we're practicing Krishna consciousness, Prabhupada said a Krishna conscious person is already the best of all yogis. Hare Krishna. All right. Let's read text 15. We've got 10 minutes left. We might get a couple of verses more. Text 15. Someone like to read text 15?
Yeah, I can read.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me properly?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Yunjanevam saratmanam yoginayata manasa santim nirvana paramam matsanstam adigachati. Sorry, next page.
Yeah.
Thus, practicing constant control of the body, mind, and activities, the mystic transcendentalist, his mind regulated, attains to the kingdom of God, or the abode of Krishna, by cessation of material existence. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The ultimate goal in practicing yoga is now clearly explained. Yoga practice is not meant for attaining any kind of material facility. It is to enable the cessation of all material existence. One who seeks an improvement in health or aspires after material perfection is no yogi, according to Bhagavad Gita, nor does cessation of material existence entail one's entering into the void, which is only a myth. There is no void anywhere within the creation of the Lord. Rather, the cessation of material existence enables one to enter into the spiritual sky, the abode of the Lord. The abode of the Lord is also clearly described in the Bhagavad Gita as that place where there is no need of sun, moon, or electricity. All the planets in the spiritual kingdom are self-illuminated like the sun in the material sky. The kingdom of God is everywhere, but the spiritual sky and the planets thereof are called Paramdhamma, or superior abodes. A consummate yogi who is perfect in understanding Lord Krishna, as is clearly stated herein by the Lord himself, Matchita Matparanatstadam, can attain real peace and can ultimately reach his supreme abode, Krishna Loka, known as Goloka Vrindavan. In the Brahma Samhita 537, it is clearly stated, Goloka eva nivasitya kilatma bhuta. The Lord, although residing all in his abode called Goloka, is the all-pervading Brahman and the localized Paramatma as well, by dint of his superior spiritual energies. Now reach the spiritual sky or enter into the Lord's abode Vrindavan without proper understanding of Krishna.
Your voice is breaking up there a little bit.
Therefore, some word in Krishna says,
A lot. We can't.
is perfect you. Can you hear me?
No, we can't hear you. You're breaking up a bit. Let me just take over and finish reading this. I go from in
Okay.
the Samhita 537. It's clearly stated, Goloka eva nivashati akila atmana bhuta. The Lord, although residing always in his abode called Goloka, is the all-pervading Brahman and the localized Paramatma as well by dint of his superior spiritual energies. No one can reach the spiritual sky at Vaikuntha or enter into the Lord's eternal abode, Goloka Vrindavan, without proper understanding of Krishna and his plenary expansion, Vishnu. Therefore, a person working in Krishna consciousness is the perfect yogi, because his mind is always absorbed in Krishna's activities. Savai mana Krishna pada vindayo. In the Vedas also, Shvetashvatara Upanishad 3.8, we learn tam eva vidivati mrityum eti. One can overcome the path of birth and death only by understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. In other words, perfection of the yoga system is the attainment of freedom from material existence, and not some magic jugglery or gymnastic feats to befall innocent excuse me, missed that. Gina speaks to before the innocent people. What's the word after before? There's something in the way. Innocent people, yeah. Okay, Hare Krishna. So I read, and if there are any questions, please feel free to ask. I was going to read a little bit from Burijan. He gives a nice purple here further. A yogi must know the super soul if he wants Shantim Nirvana Paramam, the cessation of material existence. Just one thing is that sometimes it's good to be aware of some of these, this practice of Astanga, of meditation upon the Lord, just like we read of even in the Bhagavatam, like Markandeya Rishi and others, who Dhruva Maharaj is another one who he attained perfection in 6 months. Was it 6 months? Dhruva Maharaj?
Yeah.
But the reason I bring it up because the serious, we should want to be absorbed 24 hours a day in Krishna, just as the yogis do or try to do. But and that's why that is interesting. Mother Urmila, she gave that class yesterday. I think she's speaking on the same subject today. But interesting, she was quoting from the Srimad Bhagavatam, yeah, of how we can always be conscious of Krishna. But I'm bringing it up because we should, as serious as these yogis are in the Himalayas, we should be as serious about our Krishna consciousness. Yeah, so approach it from one aspect, we should have a determination to try and remember Krishna throughout the day, and that's our bhakti process. Now, for us, it becomes a lot easier when we're cooking for him, making garlands for him, dressing him. It becomes a lot easier. I just thought I'd mention that. So continue reading here. He must carefully avoid the desire for mystic cities, otherwise he will not progress. Yeah, because from real serious meditation that's given here, one may reach the platform that's spoken of in Bhagavatam as well, where one mystic cities are at one's hand. Yeah, but devotees don't normally indulge in such mystic cities. One time, Srila Prabhupada was challenged. Please show me your mystic powers. Yeah. And he was on a stage in a pandal with thousands of persons. And this person spoke loudly into the mic, show us your mystic cities. It was a bit of a challenge. So the whole audience went quiet, waiting for Prabhupada's reply, or otherwise to Prabhupada to show some mystic powers. So sitting by his left-hand side and right-hand side were all his Western devotees. Know this story? So Prabhupada dramatically leant forward on his asan and swept his hand to the left and to the right to all of the Western disciples. He said, "This is my mystic city." And the whole crowd of thousands went in wild applause, and the cheering. This is my mystic power. He said it like, this is the mystic power. Of course, it's Krishna. Yeah. Right. So, three great flaws in a process of karma, jnana, and yoga. Dangers within each of the processes make them hazardous. For the aspiring transcendentalist, that is, they offer powerful temptations. Those powerful temptations is one actually tunes in to the transcendental nature of the soul, then all the higher planetary systems become open. It's not just like they're reading it in a book. These persons who practice this severe type of meditative trance, the planetary systems become open to them, where they can reach different levels of fantastic material situations in the higher planets, you know. So there are hazards, yeah. In karma, whether it be karma kanda or sakam karma yoga, one tends to become attached to the fruits of one's work. With Jnana yoga, the desire to emerge into Brahman, thinking of the glories of freedom from both anxiety and service, tempts one. In Ashtanga yoga, one tends to desire. I used to know one devotee who would often speak about wanting to merge into Krishna's body. Wanted to merge into Krishna's body. She had this desire. So look out for that desire, you know. Had some idea of what it would be, some type of wouldn't it be great to merge in Krishna's body? No, it wouldn't. We want to serve Krishna. Yeah. Whether it be karma or sagana. With Jnana yoga, desire to emerge into Brahman, thinking of the glories of freedom from both anxiety and service, tempts one. In Ashtanga yoga, one tends to desire mystic siddhis so that one becomes powerful and one can even override the laws of nature. A bhakta, however, remains as Krishna's servant and thus avoids those hindrances by keeping his mind absorbed in Krishna consciousness. Okay. Krishna next warns of some obstacles for the aspiring yogi's process. All right. So that's about eating too much, eating too little, etc. Okay, Bhakti yogis. Any last question or comment? A little bit details here of Ashtanga yoga. Interesting. All right, let's pause there and we'll pick up tomorrow on these verses here. Yeah, no possibility of becoming a yogi if one eats too much or eats too little, does not sleep or does not sleep enough. Okay. All right, so thank you for tuning in, everyone. I was a bit doubtful whether the link would work, so I'm very happy to see it's still working. So please join us tomorrow and we'll continue with text 16. Okay. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Manohar Prabhu ki jai.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare
Hare
Hare.
Krishna, Hare Bol.
Ram Ram. Hare Hare.